I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners on whose land I live and work, which is the Guringai people, their elders, past, present and emerging. I am Michelle, and I am an author, an Australian author of Indian background. I have written 3 collections of poetry and a collection of short stories, and my debut novel will be coming out next year with Hachette. My work has explored the diaspora experience in all its manifestations. My second collection of poetry, Vishvarupa, which means in Sanskrit many forms, explored a sort of half imagined, half real identity prior to colonisation, themed through the portraits of Hindu deities in sort of postmodern and feminist castes, and that was quite a powerful work for me. That was quite an important book. In my subsequent collection of poems, I explored the migration of animals and people from northern perspectives to the Antipodes. And my more recent work has been about the Anthropocene and looking at how climate change has caused eradication of habitat for species, and how colonisation also creates a complication of that in the way that it causes a hierarchy of species, and how that impacts on animals, and how it's also impacted on First Nations people as well, and colonised people. So it's decolonising work in my poetry there, in the way that it's responding from a global south perspective to the crises of climate and climate activism. With my fiction, my collection of stories, Letter to Pessoa, was a way of being in conversation and dialogue with various writers whose work I admired. And it was also a way of exploring the aesthetics of fragmentation as a diaspora writer. My experience cannot be constructed through a very stable or kind of narrative structure, and so how to move from the page of poem to a form which is an extended form, but to do so in a way that is deconstructing this notion of stability and temporal and historical, and sort of a way of like challenging these very colonial notions which are embedded in the novel per se. So, or the embedded in the short story, even with its structure of beginning and ending. So that's what I was exploring through language in that book, Letter to Pessoa. I think for me, I have felt for many years that language is a home, and so the qualities of language, the texturing of language, is what I've tried to work with throughout my time as a writer.